What's going on, YouTubers? I am Coach Fred Tagalog, and I'm here to help you guys out on how to change your oil on your 2020 Toyota Hilux. Now, the procedure for changing oil on the Toyota Hilux is pretty much the same on all vehicles. So this is a 2020 Toyota Hilux diesel. All right, let's get started. Alright, so to change oil on the Hilux, I don't need a ramp. It's high enough. It has enough clearance for me to go underneath the car or the truck. And I'm using a socket with an extension, 14 millimeter with an extension. Alright, so I'm gonna go underneath the truck without using any lift or anything. I have enough access there and enough clearance. So I'm going to loosen it up and then let it drain overnight. Let me show you guys where is the drain plug. So in the front of the vehicle, you're going to see this grill. Then right behind it, this whole axis is going to be right there. Right there. Right, let me see. Right there. So the location would be just in front of the wheel. So that's the wheel. That's the front wheel. As I move the camera, the oil drain plug, it's right there. See? All right, so I'm loosening that up with a 14 millimeter. Alright, so to loosen up a bolt, you have to go counterclockwise. So going counterclockwise, going to the left. Alright. Alright, so I got the socket, 14 millimeter socket on the bolt, the drain bolt. First thing I want to do is I want to loosen it up. Once I loosen it up, then I'll place the pan, the oil pan. And then I'll continue to loosen up the bolt. I'll let the bolt drop into my pan, and then I'll do this overnight. I'll just let it drain overnight. All right, so here we go. All right, so that's the front of the wheel. I already loosened up the bolt, and then I'm placing the oil pan right there. So I'm just gonna reach in there. Right there for the bolt, and then let me get a rag ready, and then I'm just gonna let it fall. If not, I'll just catch the if I don't have to let it fall, I'll just hold on to the bolt. Here we go. There's the oil. Come on, focus, man. I want the so you can see it. There. So here's my bolt right here. I'm just gonna put the bolt in there, so it's gonna I place the bolt inside the pan so the oil will come off of the bolt. I'm just gonna let it drain. All right, so this is the bolt, 14 millimeter bolt that came off of the oil pan. I cleaned it out, and next I'm gonna clean out the oil pan, and then I'm gonna tighten this up. So there's the oil pan. I gotta clean that out, wipe it down, and then put the bolt in. All right, so the location of the oil filter is, if you're facing the truck, it's on the left hand side. Let me show you how it is. So I'm facing the truck, so I'm gonna go to the left hand side, and it's gonna be right there. See that? That's the oil filter. I'm pointing at it right now. So What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna loosen that up right there. That's the oil filter right there. All right, so this is the Toyota oil filter, and this is the tool that I ordered from Shopee. So it's a tool to remove the oil filter, and then I'll use this with the, I think this an adapter, and a ratchet, and I'll put it on like that, and I'll go counterclockwise to remove the oil filter. All right, so I use the adapter and the wrench, the ratchet. I went counterclockwise, so now it's loose, so I can turn it now. I need both hands. All right, so this is the new oil filter. I rub oil around the gasket. Okay, so this gasket right now is smeared with oil. So this is the new oil filter, and I'm not going to use any tool to tighten it up because I don't want to risk nicking any of this aluminum because if you nick one, eventually it'll leak out and then you'll have problems in the road. I'm just going to hand tighten it. All right, so before I install this oil filter, I wiped the oil filter housing. I wiped it with a rag, and I made sure there's no other oil filter gasket. I have to make sure it's bare metal. I wiped it all up and everything, and now I'm ready to go down there and install this. I'm gonna hand tighten it, then I'll check for leak after. All right, guys, so the manufacturer, they recommend 5W30, but I'm gonna use this oil because this oil is special. This is good for low temperature, ambient temperature I'm talking about, and it's also good for heavy duty diesel. So when you first start the car, it's at 5 weight, and then once the engine warms up, it'll be at 40 weight, which coats the engine really well. Especially here in the Philippines, it's really hot here, oh, warm. Anyway, so I'm gonna use up 2 because the manufacturer states that it's 7.9 quarts. This is 8 quarts for 4 quarts, 4 coats, so 8 quarts. But it's so close, I might as well just use both. So I'm gonna have 8 quarts poured in, but the manufacturer says it's 7.9 quarts. I think I'm okay with that. So yeah, so basically that's where you pour the oil, and make sure this funnel is clean, very clean. You don't want any dirt going inside your engine. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pour this in, and before I pour this in, I gotta make sure, double check the bolt for the oil pan is tight, and the oil filter, it's been replaced and it's also tight. Now I am ready to pour the engine oil. The next step is starting it, checking for oil leak, and also checking for the oil light pressure to go off, or to turn off. So I'm not even going to show you how I'm going to pour the oil because it goes without saying. All right, let's double check. The oil dipstick's back, and I know I checked it, and it's full of oil. Let's go check it right now just to show you guys. The oil is right there with a higher dot, and the oil is really clean, so you can't even tell, but it's full right now. Let's put it back. Okay, it's full of oil. Dipstick's back. The oil filler cap is back. And the oil filter, I don't know if you can see it. Let's put the yeah. There's the new oil filter right there. And I wiped around it everywhere there, but I'm gonna hose it down because you see that little bit of oil. I'm gonna hose it down. And then the last thing is the oil plug is back. Oil plug is back in and tight. So let's do a double check. The oil, proper oil levels is there, and the oil dipstick is back. The oil cap is back. New oil filter is hand tightened, and then the bolt is tightened, but not over tightened, but it's tight. So all the checks has really been what's that word I'm looking for? I did all my checks. That's what I'm looking for. Now the next and last thing I have to do is when I start up my truck, I gotta make sure the oil light disappears as soon as I start it. So I'm gonna show that right now. And then also once I start the truck, I'm gonna check for oil leaks. Okay, I'm inside the truck now. So I'm gonna do a ignition on but engine off. Okay, let me identify it for you guys.
System activated.
Huh, this one doesn't have an oil light. That's weird. Let's turn it off again. Huh. That is weird. It doesn't have an oil light. I got the ignition on, engine off. Well, I'm just gonna go ahead and start it right now. I'll keep my eye on it. If I see an oil light and it's on and it doesn't turn off, I'll shut off the engine right away. Here we go. Let's fire it up. Okay, there's no oil light at all. Weird, huh? I'm gonna go ahead and back it up and I'll check for oil leaks. Yeah, you know one thing weird about this Hilux? It doesn't have an oil pressure sensor or an oil lamp. That you know, the oil lamp tells me that there's enough pressure, oil pressure in the engine. It doesn't have it on the dash, so I don't know what I'm missing here. But other than that, I mean, the truck is working fine. So if you guys come across that, let me know. Maybe I'm not pushing the right button here, but let me know, guys. Alright, so I'm checking for oil leaks. I don't show any. Those leaks, that's from an oil, what do you call this? When I remove the oil pan, remove the oil filter. Alright, so I'm washing the oil excess. There's a lot of oil spill. Alright, so I washed out or rinsed out the oil spill. Yeah, so there's no oil leaks at all, just an oil spill from the cross member. When I removed the oil filter, the oil spill went across the cross member, and that's where the leaks were coming from, but not an actual leak from the engine. So now I got the truck parked level. I shut off the engine. Now I'm gonna check the oil level. Man, that oil looks clean. That's beautiful. And right there, see the oil level? It's full. It's full, guys. Alright, that's it, guys. So alright, so I checked the oil level, it's good, and the oil is clean. Even though I ran the engine with the new oil filter and all, the oil looks clean, and I'm hoping this oil will last long, you know, because I plan to change the oil once a year. I'm not even gonna go with the mileage because I hardly use the truck, So I'm just gonna go ahead once a year oil change. And next time I'm gonna do this is either I get somebody else to do it, but I'm watching it, watching them do it, or I'll put it on the ramp, so I don't get that much oil spill. And it was tight. I mean, yeah, I could get underneath and do it without without the ramp. But next time around, I'm just gonna use a ramp, because I don't want to do this not having enough room. And then when I removed the oil filter, all the oil went underneath, or it ran down to my armpit, and I had to take a shower. But other than that, guys, so I did a double check. Oil filter is tight, brand new. The bolt is tight. The dipstick is back. The oil filler cover is back, and I washed out all the excess oil or the oil spill. Everything looks good. So I'm just gonna wash my driveway and then clean out all the excess oil spill. But other than that, guys, I'm happy it's done now. But I don't like doing the oil change. But here in the Philippines, they'll charge you about 250 bucks to do an oil change. So I'd rather do it myself, because I'm saving about 150 bucks. I'd rather use the 150 bucks for my family, you know what I mean? So other than that, I hope this thing was clear. I have another video. I did an oil change on the Suzuki APV. Changing oil is the same way for all cars. So get an idea how I did the APV, Suzuki APV. Here I couldn't really show you how I did the oil filter. Remember, removing it is a lefty-loosey. When I tightened up the new oil filter, I did not use a tool. I will not use a tool to tighten up an oil filter, because I don't want to run risking putting a hole or putting a dent on the oil filter. Alright guys, so here it is, man. I got nothing else right now, so this is it. Peace out. I'm Judge Fred Tagalog, and I'm here to help you guys out when it comes to automotive, electronics, electrical, or anything that deals with fixing stuff.